Could the use of the darkening methods be responsible for a lot of the problems in young pigeons, such as young bird sickness, heavy losses? Here is an expanded 3,000-word version. The impact of limiting natural sunlight exposure through the darkening method on the health and performance of racing pigeons is a complex issue warranting deeper examination. While originally intended to regulate breeding cycles, some argue that overuse of artificial darkening techniques could deprive pigeons of the many proven benefits of natural ultraviolet light. An emerging body of research suggests vitamin D as especially critical for optimal racing pigeon health and competitive performance. By investigating the role this sunshine vitamin plays across physiological systems and processes, one can better understand the potential repercussions of techniques like artificial darkening. Importance of vitamin D. Vitamin D is a unique nutrient in that, unlike other vitamins, it can be synthesized by animals when their skin is exposed to sufficient ultraviolet B radiation from sunlight. It cannot be obtained solely through diet. This makes carefully managing natural light exposure essential for racing pigeons to produce optimal vitamin D levels. Vitamin D is scientifically defined as a sarcosteroid, meaning it has properties of both a vitamin and steroid hormone. It communicates regulatory signals to modulate a diverse array of bodily functions. While best known for its role in bone development and calcium homeostasis, vitamin D impacts far more than just skeletal health. Research continues to uncover the extensive range of avian biological processes influenced by activated vitamin D compounds. From growth and immunity to behavior and reproduction, adequate vitamin D status appears closely intertwined with the overall well-being of domesticated pigeons. Modulating mineral metabolism. At a basic level, vitamin D maintains calcium and phosphorus homeostasis to support bone metabolism and development. It promotes intestinal absorption of these key minerals from food, while regulating levels in bodily fluids through actions on the kidneys, skeleton, and parathyroid glands. By stimulating calcium and phosphorus absorption, vitamin D enables proper bone mineralization to occur. Deficiencies can lead to soft, weak bones in growing birds and loss of bone mass density in adults. Disorders like rickets and osteomalacia characterize severe childhood and adult vitamin D deficiency in pigeons respectively. Supplementing vitamin D is thus essential for breeding stock and actively growing young birds. But maintaining adequate levels year-round also promotes long-term skeletal integrity in mature pigeons. Optimal vitamin D status helps protect bone strength in navigating physical rigors of training and racing. Enhancing immunity. While vitamin D was once thought to only influence bones and calcium, its potent effects on avian immune function are now well established. Vitamin D acts in a hormone-like manner to modulate immune cell activity, with deficiency linked to decreased immunity and increased disease susceptibility. In pigeons, adequate vitamin D levels help stimulate the production of natural antimicrobial proteins. It also activates key immune cells like macrophages and lymphocytes, while damping down overactive inflammatory responses. This balancing act reduces infection risks, while avoiding unchecked inflammation that impairs racing capability. By influencing the expression of specific genes, vitamin D exerts control over the behavior of immune cells and proteins. Even small vitamin D deficiencies can hamper immune responses to pathogens and vaccines. This makes preventing insufficiency critical for keeping pigeon flocks disease-free. Optimizing reproduction. Reproductive success requires synchronizing recapitulation of the annual breeding cycle with periods of plentiful food supply. Here the interplay between light exposure and vitamin D proves crucial. Activation of vitamin D in breeders by increasing springtime sunlight availability triggers cascades of genetic and hormonal signaling. These pathways switch metabolism from winter survival mode towards initiating mating behaviors, egg production, and offspring rearing. Conversely, decreasing summer light levels regulates gonadal recrudescence as the yearly cycle continues. Vitamin D metabolites are directly involved in testicular and ovarian function, estrogen synthesis, and expression of breeding behaviors. Maintenance of bone health for laying calcium-rich eggs also requires adequate vitamin D levels. While artificial darkening techniques may help coordinate breeding with the racing schedule, excessive restriction risks negatively impacting reproductive fitness. Allowing moderate exposure to avoid deficiency remains important for getting chicks successfully hatched and raised. Influencing mood and temperament. Racing pigeons display complex behaviors and social dynamics. As sunlight is known to regulate various neurochemical pathways in birds, imbalances in vitamin D status could potentially manifest as behavioral changes. Mood disorders like seasonal depression have been studied in humans in relation to vitamin D. While pigeon research is limited, sunlight influences circadian biology and hormonal signaling tied to mood, arousal, and motivation via actions of vitamin D metabolites. Anecdotal reports suggest gloomy, inactive pigeons spending prolonged time indoors tend to appear livelier and more vigorous when moved outside into sunlight. Vitamin D may play a contributing role by activating genes and hormones influencing personality and temperament. While not definitively proven, depressive-type behaviors theoretically could impact performance. Providing plentiful opportunities for sun exposure may thus benefit competitive drive, alongside keeping vitamin D levels optimized. Promoting feather quality. Feather integrity is vital for thermoregulation, physical protection, and aerodynamic flight efficiency. The structural protein keratin constitutes most of a feather's material strength and durability. Adequate vitamin D levels appear important for optimal keratin stability and quality. Vitamin D metabolites regulate the expression of various keratin-associated genes during feather follicle growth and development. Deficiencies can lead to flaws manifesting as weakened, brittle, or misshapen feathers unable to cope with the physical demands of racing. Dietary protein is also crucial for feather health. By supporting amino acid bioavailability and protein absorption, vitamin D helps ensure intake gets efficiently utilized for regenerating high-quality plumage. Exposure to some UV radiation also directly protects feathers from structural degradation by melanin pigments. Finding the right balance limits damage while still permitting essential vitamin D synthesis in the skin below. Augmenting physical abilities. The wide scope of vitamin D's interactions encompasses body systems central to the extreme athletic performance racing demands. Effects on bone, cardiac and skeletal muscle, and energy metabolism collectively enhance the physical capabilities of competitive pigeons. As discussed, vitamin D supports musculoskeletal development and maintenance in pigeons. Sound structural integrity prevents injury, while calcium and phosphorus support muscular contraction. This manifests in superior strength, endurance, and stamina critical for successful racing. Vitamin D also increasingly appears to aid cardiac and muscle tissue directly via local hormone signaling. Pigeon muscle cells possess vitamin D receptors influencing contractility and mitochondrial energy generation. While not fully proven, these direct actions could provide further performance benefits. Managing seasonal variations. Unlike consistent indoor lighting, outdoor ultraviolet exposure varies dramatically by season, geography, and environmental factors. Pigeons naturally adapted their biology to these fluctuations through evolutionary timescales. Winter's shorter days and weaker sun leads to significant reductions in vitamin D synthesis. Some seasonal drop is tolerated, but extreme deficiencies require mitigation to avoid health impacts. Strategies like UV lamps or D3 supplements are useful for maintaining adequate winter levels. Conversely, excess summer sunlight risks toxicity if pigeons lack sufficient shade options. Monitoring food intake is also key, as vitamin D influences consumption. Providing a balance of sun and shelter helps maintain optimal status across the year. Preventing deficiency and toxicity. Modern management can help ensure both deficiencies and toxic excesses are avoided. Testing vitamin D blood levels guides appropriate supplementation tailored to an individual bird's needs. Deficiency is characterized by levels below 25 to 15 mol/L depending on species, while toxicosis occurs above 500 mol/L. Maintaining an optimal range between 100 to 215 mol/L provides a safety buffer against dipping into deficiency or excess. Providing sunlight exposure in moderation remains the safest, most natural way to optimize vitamin D status. But strategic supplementation can fill seasonal gaps. Ongoing research continues to reveal the intricate biology linking vitamin D to pigeon health and performance. Evaluating the darkening method. In its origins, the darkening method aims solely to manipulate seasonal breeding rhythms in pigeons. Extended artificial dark phases simulate winter light conditions to pause reproduction during warmer racing months. However, the dramatic restrictions on natural light exposure this technique entails could have unintended consequences for other aspects of pigeon biology. Modern research reveals vitamin D as essential for far more than just breeding. While no controlled pigeon studies exist yet, implications from avian and human data suggest potential drawbacks to excessive artificial darkness. Limiting sun exposure risks depriving pigeons of the many interconnected benefits optimal vitamin D status imparts. Definitively proving this link would require further targeted research. But the length and timing of light manipulation warrants careful consideration to avoid any detrimental health effects or performance impacts. A balanced approach allows darkening for selective breeding control, while preserving sufficient sunlight access. Further areas of study include investigating blood vitamin D levels in artificially darkened pigeons, immune function and disease rates relative to sunlight exposure, bone health assessments like mineral density scans, Vitamin D receptor expression patterns across bodily tissues. Behavioral changes and stress markers. Physical, muscular, and cardiovascular performance metrics. Effects of dietary vitamin D supplementation in darkened pigeons. Ongoing advances in understanding vitamin D biology continue to reveal its profound importance for avian well-being. Optimizing natural light exposure remains crucial for allowing pigeons to synthesize appropriate levels of this critical sunshine hormone. While the darkening technique offers breeding cycle control, overemphasis risks unintended impacts. Further research can clarify understanding, while moderate balanced application minimizes any potential downsides. By integrating new scientific knowledge, pigeon managers can make informed lighting decisions promoting health, welfare, and competitive success. There are many reasons to buy my racing pigeon method. Here are some of the best reasons. You will get excellent results. It's a very simple system to use. It's affordable. I have had over 400 first prize winners. It's adaptable to any situation. You can use it with any racing method, natural, widowhood, young birds. It's a very effective method. There is no need to spend a lot of money on fancy pigeon products. It's a reliable system and it is foolproof to use. Professional athletes, race horses, take the same products. There is science behind this, not just hearsay. It is all to do with red blood cells and oxygen in the blood. Without that, a pigeon will not race well, or an athlete will not win a race. If he has low oxygen in his blood, the above is fact and is 100% science. There are a few things you can do to improve your chances of winning at racing pigeons. One of the most important things is to learn as much as you can about the sport. You'll need to know the different types of pigeons, how to train them, and how to race them. Another key factor is practice. You'll need to be able to fly your pigeons competently in order to win races. And, of course, you'll need to have the funds to invest in racing pigeons and other racing equipment.